Hello. Welcome back into another podcast episode. Guys, I'm so sorry if this sounds different. I've just spent about half an hour trying to sort out my microphones because both of them decided to stop working. And I think it's like a connection issue. I think it might be like a wire issue, but the wires are fine. I think it's like the actual insert on the microphone that's like fucked on both of them. So I guess I'm going to have to buy a new microphone. So I'm sorry that today I'm recording this on a different kind of microphone. It's probably going to sound different, so I will apologise right off the bat, okay? But we're here today for another episode. Okay, guys, I've got so much to catch you up on. It's actually crazy. First things first, I suppose. Exciting news. I did my theory test and I passed it with flying colours, right? I did feel prepared, I will say. I booked my theory test like 2 weeks in advance. And like every day, I think I missed maybe like 2 days, but every day of those 2 weeks, I was like revising. I was doing a few hours every day. So ultimately, that did mean that I did feel like well revised and I felt ready for it. So to be honest, it wasn't that stressful. I didn't find it too difficult. I got 48 out of 50 on the questions, and then I got 62 out of 70. 72? 75? 62 out of 70 something. I think it might have been 73 for the hazard perception. So realistically, I did really well. You only needed 44. You needed 44 points to pass the questions, and you needed... Oh no, you needed 43 points to pass the questions, 44 points to pass the hazard perception, I believe. So that's one thing out of the way. That's one half of this journey complete. Hopefully, over the next month and a half, 2 months, who knows? Hopefully, I get to pass my driving test, but I suppose that is probably the more difficult part of this whole thing, which is kind of stressing me out, but it is what it is. But overall, it's a happy day. I passed my theory, so that's that done. Because I will say, guys, I was getting very bored with revising and shit. Like, I was over it, like sick and tired of revising at the point of going for my theory. So I'm glad I passed it first time, so I don't have to do more fucking revising. But yeah, so that's the first piece of information. God, guys, so much has happened, to be honest. I feel like I've been kind of playing catch up the past 2 weeks because I did take the previous week off, but that was because I was like revising and stuff for my theory. So I haven't really had a break. Although I didn't post a video, I still have been doing stuff. Like, it wasn't like I was just sat on my ass doing nothing. I've been working on my Taylor Swift Eras Tour outfit a lot. Because basically, I'm not going to give too much away because I am posting a video of the process of me making it, right? I am DIYing it myself. And put it this way, I don't know how many hours I've been going for at this current point. I'd imagine it's over 24 hours for sure. Because I've been doing it for weeks and weeks. But basically, when I went to my parents' house, that was kind of like the last time I did some on it. And then I like didn't do any for weeks. And then I was like, fuck, I go in like 2 weeks. So I was like, fuck, I need to get on with it because there was a lot more left to do. Like, I think I maybe had done a third of everything that I needed to do. So I'm currently more or less halfway, I'd imagine. More than halfway, I think. So, yeah, there'll be a video on that coming soon, I suppose. I don't know when to post it. Like, I don't know whether to post it after I've been to the concert. So then I can put some clips in from, like, the vlog. Or to post it, like, just before I go to the concert, or, like, the day of the concert or something. I don't know, I'll have to figure that out. But overall, very excited, and I've added to it since doing more, and it's just made it even better. But yeah, guys, so that's that with my outfit. Next thing, I got scammed. Right, so yesterday, I'm recording this on the Friday, you guys will be listening on the Sunday, I yesterday was supposed to go for a consultation for a private dermatologist to hopefully get my skin in order. Because if you didn't know, if you're only now tuning into the pod, I do have psoriasis and I've had it for like 7 years at this point, right? And I've tried everything you can think of. Okay, I've tried different diets. I've tried all the different creams. I'm also now going through withdrawals from my steroid creams and all these kind of things. Okay, so I've tried a lot of things. So I decided the last thing to try would be going private and seeing what they can tell me because obviously you only get a certain amount of help from like the NHS and whatnot. Like it's not the same as going to a specialist for psoriasis, you know? So yesterday I was supposed to go to this dermatology appointment and I'd had it booked for a few weeks and they'd rescheduled it. And I paid £50 over the phone, that were like towards my consultation. Now, first and foremost, the rate that these people charge for their consultations is fucking buck wild. And I understand, right? They'll be qualified. I have no doubt in my mind that they're qualified and it's worth the money. But the idea of, because I'll let you guys in on a little secret, it was meant to be £185 for just a consultation, like just to go in, be seen, and talk. 185 motherfucking pounds. So, right, because of that, they asked that you pay £50 as a deposit before your consultation, so you're more likely to turn up, you know? So I was like, okay, that's fine. Paid the £50. I turned up yesterday, guys. The building was empty. The building was empty. There was a bunch of post that was left, and there was a singular sign on the door that basically read, "We're not here no more. We ceased production and like trading or whatever in this facility on the 17th of July." So I wasted £30 in Uber fees to get to this place because obviously I don't drive right now, but I will do soon, okay? I will do soon. So I spent £30 in Uber fees to go there and back. And they took off with my £50, right? So best believe I did get in contact with my bank and I was able to get the money back. Thankfully, I had to put it under like a fraudulent payment or whatever, because they did have like a section about like when a company ceases trading and they don't like refund you or whatever. So yeah, overall it is what it is. All I really lost in the grand scheme is just some time. And actually no, I did lose out on £30 because there was nothing even in the area for me to go and do. So like it wasn't a wasted journey. Like I still wasted £30 on the journey because it was like a residential estate. So that wasn't ideal, but that was my day yesterday. Um People just be taking the piss, man. I think that's one thing I'm really learning. Like, as I become more and more like grown up and like proceed through my adulthood, you know, and I do like even more adulting things, like, you know, like buying houses and like actually going private for certain things to get a better quality of treatment, and you know, and like do my driving and like look into insurance and all this kind of stuff. I feel like all I'm learning really is that people do just fuck people over. Like these people just fuck around. You know, I feel like a big portion of being an adult is being fucked over often and just like having to roll with it, because I very well could have just like really just allowed that to really make me spiral, because my hopes are so high, especially because it's obviously to do with my skin, and I've been struggling with my skin for years. Like I was looking forward to finally being seen by a specialist. So like if I really wanted to, I could have let that really get to me. And boy oh boy, I was close, but no, we're fine, we're moving along. Okay, I'll find another specialist, it'll be fine. Okay? So that was that. I've been to see a bunch of movies, guys, that I kind of want to give you a little review of, I suppose. This is going to be a little review portion. Because, first of all, I went to see the new Maxine movie, which, if you know anything about me, and if you've seen a main video of mine, main channel video of mine, you'll see that Pearl, I have a Pearl poster in the background of every video, and that's because the X and Pearl movies are some of my favorite movies of all time. Okay, I think they're very camp. I think the main reason why I love it, and this was like it kind of rang true through watching Maxine as well. Like, I think as a whole, what the trilogy does really well is they obviously want to have it set in a certain time period and era and whatnot. And what I like about Ty West as like a director specifically. Now I've not watched other movies from him. Like I might have, but I don't know exactly which ones he's made. But like these three I know of well. You know, I've seen them a few times. Well, obviously not Maxine, I've seen it once, but the other two I've watched a few times. What I like about this trilogy specifically is although it's set in a certain time period and it's set in a certain era, he emulates the style of directing and emulates the style of movie as the era to really transport you there. So it's like you're watching a movie from the 80s. So specifically Maxine, this movie was made obviously this year and last year, whatever, but it's made to seem like it's in the 80s. Okay? Which I love the 80s anyway. I think the 80s are a really cool era. Obviously, there's a lot of fuckery happening in the 80s, so that goes without saying. Like, whenever I talk about eras and stuff, I'm strictly talking from more of like an aesthetic point of view, okay? I'm not talking about what was going on at the time and all that kind of thing, 'cause there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit happening, okay? I don't want to not hit on that. But the 80s in general, like the style of the 80s and the aesthetic of the 80s is probably one of, if not my favorite era. So already I was kind of like hooked, line, and sinker with just that. But the story and everything, and like the way Mia Goth like has portrayed the character and like whatever throughout the three movies, obviously like she's played Pearl and she's played Maxine throughout these three movies. Like she's a brilliant actress. Stylistically, I think the movies are really cool. And what I loved specifically about Maxine, because I don't want to make this just about the other two movies, this is more about Maxine. What I loved was like it captured the camp energy of the 80s. Like, do you know like camp 80s horror movies? Like me and the Patreon lot, we watched Chucky very recently. And that was like a perfect example of like a movie that's made in that kind of era that is just camp. Like, yes, it has its like horror elements, but like they're not meant to be serious, in my opinion, anyway. I don't think they're meant to be all that serious. Like, they have a camp energy about it. And I feel like Ty, although, yes, Maxine was serious in a lot of ways and tackled a lot of crazy shit, like the woman, she did stamp on someone's balls, right? And that is towards the beginning of the movie. So this movie was definitely more on the serious side because obviously we have the technology and whatnot to make things believable these days. As much as that was obviously the case, the style and like some of the dialogue choices and stuff and like some of the characters definitely leaned into like the campness, and the way it was shot and the way it was created like also lent into like the campness of the 80s, which is just phenomenal. So I cannot give Ty West enough props, to be honest, for the trilogy. I think he did a really, really good job, and Mia obviously as well. Um, like I'm a big fan of Mia Goth as an actress now, and that's purely because of these movies. Other actresses in the movie. Let's talk about some other actresses because obviously I've hammered on about Mia and obviously Ty as the director, but obviously we had Halsey even. I got told off before when I used to do music that I say her name wrong. So we had Halsey make an appearance. Now she was short-lived, okay? I guess spoiler alert. She's not in the movie all that much, but I think she was a nice addition. Like she made a nice cameo. So that was fun. We had Lily Collins, who I know most from Emily in Paris. Not that I've watched Emily in Paris, because I haven't. I haven't watched one episode because it does not seem like my kind of thing. But I know her from that. I don't think I know her from anything else, to my knowledge, anyway. I could be wrong. She was fun. I loved. There's a woman who plays. Because kind of like the whole plot of like Maxine, without it being spoiler alert vibes and like just like completely spoiling the whole movie. The kind of overarching thing is obviously Maxine wants to become a movie star, like she wants to be a star, and she obviously she begins like in X, for example, she begins as a porn star and like works on like adult films and stuff, and that's kind of how she gets into the industry. And that's kind of like what happens in X. And then obviously Pearl is from Pearl's perspective, who is the old lady that's also played by Mia in the first movie. So Pearl is from her perspective and what Pearl went through to make her how she was in X. So it's like a prequel almost. So then obviously in the third one, Maxine is finally taking the steps to become like a serious movie star rather than just like an adult porn star kind of vibe. And funnily enough, the movie that she's going for is a camp horror movie, you know? So obviously, I feel like that also helped it lend itself to that. So the person I want to talk about specifically is the lady that casted people, like the casting director of the movie. And I don't know what the actress's name is, but she was stunning. Tall glass of water, cheekbones, bone structure. Like the fucking décolletage was stunning. She was like, I mean, I imagine I wouldn't be surprised. Now I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if this woman has done modeling as well as movies and stuff and acting and whatnot. Because wow, she could be a model. So loved her. She was a great actress. But yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but loved that movie. It was all in all, I think the trilogy was very well made. Obviously, I kind of have my own ranking, but for the most part, the whole energy of the whole trilogy is so successful. Like, there's not one movie that is like ruining the trilogy. Because I was kind of worried going into Maxine that I was just hoping and praying that they weren't going to flop with the last movie, and I don't think they did. Personally, it was really, really well made, the whole thing. So can't recommend that enough. Definitely go watch it if you're interested in like horror movies and like campy kind of vibes. So that was that. I also went to see Twisters with my parents. Now I'm pretty sure my parents were saying that obviously like there was an original Twisters, but I don't know why I thought it was like a show. Like, was there not a show where they chased tornadoes and shit like that, or was it simply just no, guys, I think this is what I'm talking about. There was a show called Storm Chasers, which I think is what I'm talking about because there was 5 seasons and it started way back in 2007. So that would make sense because I remember watching it on the TV on like Comedy Central or whatever the fuck at the time, as like a like a teenager. So obviously in my brain I kind of had that in my mind, but apparently there's a movie that also goes along with it. So I guess that's kind of interesting. But the movie, all in all, I'm going to try and give you my thoughts without spoiling once again. So the main girlie in the movie, once again, don't know the actress's name, and I'm so sorry. I really should know. I know her from Where the Crawdads Sing, which is a beautiful movie with a huge twist at the end. I really want to watch that movie again because I've only watched it once, and I watched it maybe last year. Very obsessed with the movie. Like, after I watched it the first time, I was like, oh god, this is going to be another one of those movies that I'm going to watch a lot. And I actually am shocked that I haven't, but I know that it's on a streaming service, so I'm going to watch it again soon. Because guys, that separate from Twisters, that is a great movie, right? So there's that. So if you want to watch it, go watch it. It's really good. I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix or something. But anyway, Twisters. Okay? So the plot is very like what you'd expect. Like, they're going to chase Twisters. It's for basically the main girlie is wanting to help prevent and stop tornadoes when they're attacking by using science. It's something to do with like a chemical that like you can release, but to do so you have to like drive into the tornado and release it in the middle of it. So it's obviously dangerous. You can imagine there's a lot of fuckery that happens. So past that, let's talk about like the actors and whatnot. I will say the script, fine. I had no issues with the script. It was very well made. Glenn Powell, let's talk about Glenn Powell because that man, yes, he does look like a capybara. Is that what it's called? A capybara? Capybara. Capi, Capi something or other. Let me find. Capybara. Yes, he does look like a capybara, okay? I know that's something that people have said about the man, and I will agree, okay? I think it's when he smiles. He has a very narrow mouth for the rest of his head. Like, he's got quite a big head, like, but like a very small mouth. But whatever, we're not here to talk about his mouth. I'd seen him in Anyone But You, which that was a movie that I did go to the cinema to watch, and I expected it to be very much like comedy vibes, like funny haha vibes. Not so much a rom-com. Like, yes, it had its funny elements for sure, but it was a bit too rom-com for me. Like, it was a bit too cheesy in my opinion. Obviously, it had Sydney Sweeney in, love her. Wasn't my favorite movie, that one. I'm not gonna lie. But I also don't think it was for me. Like, typically that's not the kind of movie that I would gravitate towards because I know myself and I know what I enjoy, and that's not that. Okay, so I knew him from that, so I already was a bit like, oh, we'll see how this goes. And to be honest, it kind of gives the same kind of energy as he did in Anyone But You. Like, the performances from movie to movie aren't too dissimilar. There's just different love interests. And speaking of love interests, I will say what does annoy me about some movies, because I came out thinking, why did we need a love arc in a movie about twisters? And I also will say, and this is obviously without trying to give too many spoilers, the friend in this instance, if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. The friend and other people, to be honest, quite a few people have very little sympathy for what the girlie was going through in the movie, right? Very little sympathy, which is kind of like mind-boggling to me. But yeah, it was a good movie. I don't know if I'd go and watch it again. Like, I don't think it's a movie that I'm gonna have to repeatedly watch. But it was a good movie. Definitely glad I went to see it, and my parents enjoyed it also, which I thought that they would because it seems more like their vibe. But I will say it is a bit weird to me how a lot of movies these days, I feel like to beef the plot out a little bit, we have to have some sort of love affair, some sort of romantic connection happening. And it was very prevalent in this movie. I was like, realistically, I would have been happy delving into something a bit more serious, something a bit more horror-esque, because I think it was only a 12A. Like, I don't think it was that crazy in terms of like the rating. So I would have preferred for them to make it more of like a horror thriller kind of energy, rather than focusing on like romantic connections and like partially hitting on streamers and social media personalities and stuff, because obviously that was a big part of the movie also. It felt very much like placed in this day and age. Like, I feel like it's one of those movies that I don't think is going to be timeless. You know, like, I think it's one of those movies that you're going to watch it and be like, oh yeah, it was made around that time. You know? But overall, good movie. In terms of ratings, should we do ratings for these? Because what else did I go and watch? I went and watched the new A Quiet Place movie as well. Guys, I'm telling you, I've been going to the movies, right? The A Quiet Place movie, will say, loved the main girlie. What's her name? Lupita. Lupita. I remembered it. I knew it was an L word. Lupita. Oh my God, gobbled. But she does gobble, right? She tends to gobble often. Okay, obviously Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things also chewed, to be honest. I will say the movie felt very quick. And I also will say the climax of the movie, to me, didn't feel all that climaxy. Like, I didn't know we were getting to the end of the movie. Like, I was expecting more shit to happen. Like, obviously, like with the A Quiet Place movies in general, you're kind of going to always have like life or death situations. That's kind of a given, right? So it was definitely like life or death vibes, but it didn't feel grand enough, or like, I don't know, it just didn't feel grand enough for that to be the end of the movie. So like, although I enjoyed the movie and I did come out being like, oh, like that was really enjoyable, like what a great movie. Like, after sitting with it for a few days, I was like, wait, that was such a fucking quick movie. Like, not that much happened. It was entertaining, but I could have easily had like another half an hour for them to really flesh it out. Once again, make it a bit more scary. Like, what was that? What was that rating? Because I don't like, yes, it was obviously like stressful, but it wasn't that scary. Now, I don't even know if I've seen the other Quiet Place movies. I'm pretty sure I've seen one, but I don't know how many there is. But I do recall them being a bit more scary. A Quiet Place Day One. See, it was a 15, so some stuff must have gone down. But I don't recall seeing all that much in terms of like intensity. But the movie was really good. I don't want to bash the movie at all. For me, it was just a bit too short, and that's rare that I say that about movies. But I would have happily had more, which I think is a good thing, you know? You'd rather come out and want more than like be like, oh well, I'm never watching that again, you know? And I think it's mainly because of Lupita. She chews every role. She is like, oh my gosh, she's such an incredible actress. So I've seen that as well. So let's rank these movies, I guess, because we're gonna do a little review here. I would like to start doing more of these. Like, if you guys would be down, I would like to do like maybe some of my all-time favorite movies. I'd love to do like almost like a commentary on them and like talk about the plot and like what I like about them and whatnot. So if you guys would be down, let me know, and I'd definitely be I'd definitely love to like explore that in future episodes, like kind of like I do with music and stuff. I'd like to pick a movie that I love and just like dissect it rather than obviously do like a reaction to it. But you can let me know about that. But in terms of rankings, I'm gonna give Maxine and, to be honest, the whole trilogy. For me, it's easily gonna be like, do you know what I'll do? I'll actually rank all three of the movies, right? So X is gonna get an 8.5. Pearl is gonna get a 10. And I'd give Maxine a 9.5. So overall, I feel like it probably averages out at like maybe a 9.3 for the whole trilogy. X definitely is my least favorite out of the three, but I think that's more just because like the vibes and the style aspect to it just isn't as strong as the other two, and that's something that I love. I love a stylized movie. Love it. So I think that's why that one's a little bit lower for me, but still an impeccable movie nonetheless. I'd actually give it maybe an 8.7, 8.8. Okay? So that's that. In terms of Twisters. Twisters, I'd maybe give a 7.5 or an 8. Like, it's really not a bad movie. I'd maybe say a 7.5 for that one. And A Quiet Place Day One, I'm pretty sure, I'm thinking 8.4, because if it was longer and like more shit happened and I really felt like it was like devastating, you know, or if it was like scarier, then I feel like it easily could have been like in the nines. It was a very good movie. So there you go. There's some movie reviews for you. Not that any of you asked. But yeah, then last but not least, guys, the last thing I want to talk about before we potentially get into something else. I'm not sure how long I've been talking, to be honest. Oh God, I've been talking for half an hour here. But last thing I want to talk about is Guess by Charlie XCX featuring Billy. Okay, that's gonna be a yes from me. Should we actually do some songs of the week? Oh, fuck it. We're here now. We may as well. So first and foremost, it's gonna be Guess featuring Billy. Okay, that came out literally today. I'm living. Okay, I loved Guess as it is. Guess is a great song. Oh my God, the remix is everything for me. The line where Billy says, Charlie likes boys, but she knows I'd hit it. I love lesbian Billie Eilish. I love it. I love nothing more to see Billie Eilish just being happy, free, and also a lesbian. Okay? I love it. And on top of that, the music video vibes for both Guess and 360 specifically. Like, I enjoyed the Von Dutch one, but it was a bit too aggressive for me. Like, I felt like I was getting attacked, which I think was the point. But specifically 360 and this one. Love the style. Like, I wonder if it was the same director that did both of them. It would make sense because like the way it was shot and like some of like the still shots where like a lot of things are happening in the frame, but the frame itself stays still and like it's a stagnant frame with shit going on. You don't often see that because I feel like a lot of times in music videos, I feel like a lot of it is like the more budget, the more busy, the more CGI, the more things are happening, you know? So I really actually enjoy the simplicity of some of the choices made by the director of the music videos for Charlie's era. But saying that, I imagine it's not that simple, but it just has more of a simplistic quality overall. But it's so effective and interesting, in my opinion. And I will say, in terms of the song, Billie Eilish really adds to it, in my opinion. I'm loving this new era for Billie. In general, I'm still obsessed with Hit Me Hard and Soft. I've got the vinyl, it's up right there. I'm still obsessed with Hit Me Hard and Soft. I listen to it very, very often. I'm obsessed with Brat also, to be honest. And I think the more and more I listen to Brat, the more I enjoy it. Because I will say, when I first listened to Brat, it took me a moment to get past like in some of the songs anyway, the very simplistic way of doing like the lyrics. And obviously, like hearing Charli talk about it, like it completely makes sense. Like she didn't want it to be like a she didn't want to flourish anything for the sake of it. Like she just wanted to be direct. She wanted it to be like she was just talking to a friend on the phone, and that's how she made the songs. And there's obviously some songs that I think the directness works really well because it's not too direct. There is one, however, that I really don't like. I simply don't like it. I can't listen to it actually. So, yeah. But I think to actually finish off this episode, because I was planning on doing something else, but I guess I'll save that for another episode. I'm gonna go for a second, and I'm gonna actually rank Brat for you now, and we're gonna rank Brat live on the pod. Okay, that's what we're gonna do to finish off this episode because I think that's kind of fun. But yeah, guest featuring Billie, iconic. The Lord feature, because I never actually spoke about Girl So Confusing featuring Lord, iconic. Lord's whole section was iconic. So I'm going to now rank that, and I'll be back now, well, in a second, to tell you what my ranking is for Brat, and then you guys can let me know your ranking down below, or you can tag me in it wherever, or whatever. You know, you can let me know. But yeah, so BRB. Okay, and I'm back, right? Just did a little bit of, titivating around. It took me about 5 minutes, to be honest. It was pretty quick ranking. I was pretty sold on what my tops and bottoms were, so it was kind of just like the middle section that I had to figure out. So we're going to go from the bottom. So we've got 18 tracks because I am doing the deluxe here, because in my opinion, two of the deluxe tracks, they're fucking up there, Like, baffling to me that they didn't make it on the original album. Like, there's a few that I would have taken off the original album and like replaced them with certain deluxe tracks, but we'll get there. So first and foremost, right, got 18 tracks. In at 18, now I want to preface this by saying that I love the message. Okay, so in at 18 we do have I Think About It All the Time, right? And this is one of those instances where I understand what she was going for. She was going for the simplistic. She was going for the, like, just like the very to the point, straightforward lyric, right? And I like I said, I think the songs on here that do that and they do it well. This one, for me, just completely missed the mark. Like I said, love the message. I think it's very interesting. I think it's an important song, but I think the way the production works and the lyrics work, for me, it's a total miss. Like, it's just like there's like, it's just like she's written down stuff, which I imagine she probably had. She wrote stuff down and then just tried to make it work with the production. Like, there was no, I don't know. To me, the lyrics and the production don't make sense together with that one. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. But like I said, I think it's an important song, and lyrically, I think it's important for her to have written it. It's just not my favorite track. Okay, in at 17, we have Hello Goodbye. Now, this was obviously a deluxe track. This is not one of the deluxe tracks that I gravitate towards the most. I don't hate the song, but let's make this very clear. I don't hate hate any song on this album. Because even the last track, although I really don't listen to it, I appreciate it for Charlie. You know? Hello, Goodbye. It's just a bit more of a bog standard track, in my opinion. Like, we didn't need it, but I wouldn't skip it if it came on, you know? We've then got I Might Say Something Stupid. It's very cute. It's more of like a ballad energy. It's short. It almost gives little interlude, which I love. Right? It's just not. It's not. It's just not. It's not making me pop my pooch, you know. And when I think about Brat, like yes, there's obviously emotional lyrics and emotional moments and stuff, and like we're being brutally honest, but a lot of the time it's partnered with just insane production. So this one just doesn't necessarily stack up in terms of like production wise, just because it is more on the simple side, which I enjoy from Charlie. But there it is, you know. We've then got in at 15, Everything is Romantic. Bit repetitive for me, but I still enjoy. Like the whole everything is romantic. Like it's very catchy, but it is a bit repetitive in my opinion. We've then got Rewind. Once again, kind of similar energy, a bit more on the repetitive side. And there's something about the little actual like rewind sound. And there is one thing actually that is so obnoxious of me to even like bring up. But one thing that irritates me now, this is really picky. Now I'm being picky here. Okay? The very end of the track, like when I think it has like one last like rewind sound, it doesn't fade out all the way. And that bugs me. I don't know why. There's also a song on Normani's album that does the same thing. Like it doesn't fade out all the way and I can hear it like stop like before it's I don't know, and it's something to me where it's just like when you're making music and like you have the budget for it and like you've got mastering and everything, like why didn't we just fade it all the way out? You know, add 2 more seconds on and just fade it all the way out. I don't know. Like I said, very picky, but it is just something that I notice. Next on the list, we have Girl So Confusing. Now, I will say, right, the Lord version, in my opinion, is superior. So if the Lord version was on here, it probably would have been higher. But it's not. I didn't include like the remixes and stuff. But if the remix was on here, it would be superior. In my opinion, I think Lord's part really adds to it. And I like how, in general, to be honest, actually, quickly speaking about the remixes, I like how Lord's remix for Girl So Confusing and Billy's remix for Guess, I like how both of their parts, they're like responding to Charlie on the song. I think that's very smart, and we don't always get that. Like, they actively respond to things that Charlie's either mentioned before or whatever, you know, and like it's from their perspective and they're kind of acknowledging that they're on a song together. You know, I don't know, there's something about like it's almost breaking the fourth wall a little bit, which I really appreciate because I don't think we really see that on collabs all that often. So for me, Girl So Confusing with Lord, it is superior to the original, but I'd still enjoy the original. Okay? We've then got Von Dutch. I loved this when it first came out, but obviously it's one of those instances where like I've had it the longest, I've worn it out, and now I don't find myself gravitating towards it as much, and that's simply why it's this low, to be honest. We've then got Club Classics, which is a little bit more on the basic side once again, but I definitely enjoy. I did enjoy it a bit more when it first came out to now, so I think that's also why it's slipped down a bit. Then we've got So I. Now, in terms of like the more like emotional ballady type ones that we get from Charlie, this one for me is gorgeous. Like, I love the Sophie. Is it an interpolation or a sample? Love. Love. Okay? I think it's absolutely iconic. It's so well done, and she sounds gorgeous. Okay? I also really enjoyed her performance of this before, obviously, it came out. Like, she did a performance of it. I think it was at, like, the Women in Music or something. The performance of it was also really beautiful. So there's that. We've then got Back to Back. Now, this one and Club Classics obviously came out at the same time. And originally, Club Classics was more of my vibe and my favourite. But since obviously going to the gym with the songs, Back to Back in the gym, there's something about that that's absolutely perfect, in my opinion. So, since having it for that purpose, that's kind of bumped it up again for me. Okay, Apple. Apple has got to be the biggest grower. And this is not because of the TikTok trend, because I'm not on TikTok. Famously, don't like TikTok, okay? So I don't really care for the whole TikTok trend and the dance. I guess it's fun. And I will say, out of all the songs for like to trend on TikTok, bonkers to me that Apple was the one. We'll just say that. But I will also say there's something catchy about Apple that I like have found myself just like singing over and over, and I don't really know why. So that's why I was like, I've got to put it a bit higher, because originally I did have it a little bit lower. I had it below Club Classics, and I was like, nah, it needs to be a bit higher because I do be singing it. I do. Um and yeah, I just initially I didn't really listen so much to the lyrics on this one, I don't think, and that's why I was a bit at a loss for why the song's called Apple. But then obviously like after properly spending time listening to the lyrics and obviously listening to what she's saying about how like an apple and the whole like saying of like, oh, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and how that kind of relates to like family and stuff, it makes more sense to me. And ultimately, that made me enjoy the song more. Okay, so that's where we went with that. We've then got Mean Girls and Talk Talk. For me, they're kind of on the same level, right? Mean Girls is bolshy as fuck, and Talk Talk is another one that's really good for the gym. And it's almost like it almost gives like early 2000s vibes to me. Like, think of like Cascada, or is it Cascada? I'm not sure. Like, it almost gives that to me. I don't know why, but it kind of does. So for me, yeah, they're on a similar plane, in my opinion. So like, if I put them side by side, then that's that. You know, Talk Talk is super fun. Mean Girls is to put it politely. We've then got 365, which I think is a perfect ending to the standard edition. I think opening it with 360, then closing it again with 365, and obviously it being like a similar production, but like it's like almost a remixed version of 360. I think it's perfect. It's kind of how Billie did her albums, you know, when like she'd like do the whole album and then in the last song she kind of like acknowledges the rest of the tracks throughout the song. I like it. I like it when they do that. I just think it makes it really like a nice cohesive story. So love that. So, and that's kind of why that's there. I just think it's a really effective end to the album, and I find it very satisfying for my soul. Then top four, guys, these are just like the cream of the fucking crops, right? So then we've got Sympathy as a Knife. Now I'm pretty sure this is about Taylor Swift. But I know a lot of people have been like taking this in like a nasty way, like charli is like actively hating on Taylor, but I don't really see it as that. For me, it's just her kind of acknowledging how like as like especially with like women generally always getting compared in music anyway, it's very easy for comparisons to form, and how that can really fuck up your brain, and it can almost make you like see things that might not be there, or like read into things that might have happened but also are more dramatized in your mind, you know? And like it's just all about like comparisons to women in the industry and stuff. And to me that's interesting. That's really interesting. And I don't think it's necessarily like her taking a jab at Taylor, but obviously like the internet loves drama. So who knows? Maybe her and Taylor don't get along as well as they once did, you know? But in my opinion, I saw it as more of like a self-reflection for charli and an internal conversation, just like being honest about how like she does compare herself to others. Like we all do it realistically. Like I do it all the time, you know? So that was super interesting to me. And I didn't take it in like a mean way from charli, but I know a lot of people did. But yeah, so love that song. Love Sympathy as a Knife. We've then got Spring Breakers. Now, I was excited for this one before we even got the deluxe, but because I'm pretty sure she teased this one specifically a bit. So I was excited, and I love this song, especially when it first came out. This was my favorite out of the deluxe tracks for sure, right? And I was going for it. Once again, a great one for the gym. The beat is just perfect. I can't say enough good things, right? I think it's catchy as fuck. The lyrics are great. Once again, it's kind of talking about the industry and like how like politics of the industry work, and I think that's stunning. Love. And then we've got 360, which is a great album opener and potentially my favorite single. And then we've got Guess. And once again, I didn't like Guess as much as I liked Spring Breakers, but then it switched for me. And I actually just don't think I really listened to Guess all that much. Like when the deluxe came out, I think my brain was just like, oh, Spring Breakers. That's the one that I've been looking forward to. So let's bump that one, you know? And I didn't really pay attention too much to the other songs. But then once I did, and once I really gave Guess her flowers, it just worked me out. And now with the remix with Billy on, like it's just like going from strength to strength, in my opinion. So yeah. That's my ranking for Brat. Now, I had no idea I was even going to be doing that today, but here we are. I love flying by the seat of my pants, okay? So, yeah, that's going to be this episode. Next week, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing some Am I the Assholes? So I'll see you in 2 weeks' time for that, because that's what I did plan on doing today, but here we are. We've reviewed some movies, and I've ranked Brat. But this is kind of what happens with this pod. I kind of just go with the flow and see what I feel like chatting about, you know? So, yeah, join me in 2 weeks and we'll do some more Am I the Assholes? And let me know what I said about, like, the whole movies and, like, doing some movie reviews rather than, like, always reacting to shit. So, yeah. And let me know if you want me to do more rankings of albums, because, like, as much as obviously I love doing the deep dives into albums, I do feel like even just ranking albums, through ranking them, I can kind of like use that as a way to talk about each track individually without having to like dissect lyrics. So I might actually do one of these soon, because I really wanted to do something based on Rowan? I'm not sure. I wanted to do something based on her album, and I was like, realistically, I'm a bit late to the party to do like a full-on deep dive. But maybe a ranking and then like talking about all the tracks individually that way would be interesting. You guys can let me know, because that might come next then if that's something that you'd be interested in, because I've been meaning to do that for weeks. So yes. But with all that said, there's a lot for you guys to let me know in the comments or wherever else. Make sure to review the pod if you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. It really does help me out and it really does make a difference. So please review me, please. Tell me how I'm doing. Potentially give me 5 stars. If you're watching this on the second channel, make sure to subscribe to the second channel, turn on the post notification bell so you'll know whenever another episode goes live. And yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks' time for another episode. Goodbye!